Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. So today I'm going to be doing a sit down scary storytelling with me. So if y'all do like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and turn your post notifications on so that you're notified every time that I post a video. And if you do like the stuff that I'm going to be doing or like reading, please comment down below, you know. So get your favorite teddy bear and get cozy. The story is called Why I'll Never Park Far from My Job Again. I currently work at a restaurant somewhere in the Midwest. Now obviously I can't say what restaurant, but it's on a pretty busy road with lots of cars and lots of people walking on the road to get to the bus stop or whatever their destination may be. It's got its own parking lot where I usually park closer to the doors, but the story I'm about to tell you the one time I didn't. The night I sincerely regret my actions. To give some backstory, a couple of years ago, I just happened to work at the sport bar and grill directly across the parking lot from my current job. I worked there for just 4 months. And I have plenty of interesting stories about that place, but that's for another post. Anyways, while I worked at my previous job, I did not have a car. So I either walked to and from work, or I got a ride. Now, mind you, I walk home around 10 some nights, on a barely lit road when cars weren't always around. This naturally made me weary. And this was on top of the fact that older men would constantly hit on me as a minor and made me feel watched. Okay, that's kind of creepy. Like, just having, like, just, you're minding your own business and, like, older men are like, hey, baby. This backstory of my old job might not seem important at the moment, and I didn't think it would ever become relevant again. But it matters in the end, I promise. While working at my old job, I was a minor as previously stated, but that never stopped drunken men from approaching me and being inappropriate. There was one man in particular who I never forgot about and who came back to haunt me in the worst way. The man was taller, quiet, good-looking, and always wore extensive-looking clothes and accessories. He had a very elegant vibe to him, which is why I did not think much of him when he would talk to me while I was working. He started out very polite. He'd ask how it was going, how my day was, stuff like that. But as the weeks went on, he would ask me more personal questions, which started making me suspicious of him. That the event that occurred right before I quit was a night I wish I could forget when thinking back on the days at the sports bar. I said brawl. I meant bar. Sorry, guys. Messing up a little. I remember it being a long night, probably because it was a sport season and our restaurant would get very busy, and as a hostess it was very stressful trying to take calls when there was shouting because the hockey team won a golden cup or whatnot. The night after I had finished cleaning the bathrooms, I would remember him being at the hostess stand waiting for me. I approached him and tried to make polite conversation, but I could tell immediately that he was acting strange. His gaze was shifty and he didn't look put together as he normally did. The first thing he said to me was something along the lines of, "You're only 16, right?" To which I confirmed, and he continued with something like, "Well, when you're 18, I'll have something for you. It'll be a surprise, just wait till you're 18. And he promptly left through the bar section of the grill. I stood shocked for a moment before composing myself and finishing my cleaning so I could get the heck out of there. What the? Who says that to, like, someone? Like, I know there's, like, a bunch of weirdos out there, but, like, I wouldn't expect, like, this is crazy. Anyways, after I finished counting my drawer down, I went out back and unlocked the bike that I had gotten a month or so after I started working there and began to ride home. Note that I was paranoid as heck as I was doing this because seriously, who the heck says that to an underage girl? I watched my back all night as I rode home and felt watched the entire time. Ugh. It reminds me of the Lisa McVeigh movie. I don't know why, where she was like at night and she was like riding her bike and she ended up getting taken by that guy. But yeah, that was crazy. And if you haven't watched that movie, you should go watch that movie. Anyways, back to the story. It was kind of my fault he knew my age. I had told him a long time ago as I mentioned something about my birthday plans. But his comment on my age made me feel sick to my stomach regardless. Now let's jump to more recently when I started my new job. Just across the parking lot, it's been years since I worked there, and I had just about let go of the memories of working at the godforsaken sports bar. But something happened recently that made the memories feel like yesterday. The stimulus checks and nice weather have brought a surge of customers to my current restaurant. I've worked here for almost a year now, and have been busier in the past months than we've been since I first started. This means that occasionally I don't get to park right by the doors and I must park a bit further away. On this particular day, that still makes me feel nervous thinking about it. I had to go to the park, basically at the farthest corner of our lot due to a large amount of staff and customers taking the closer spots. That day I thought nothing of it as I went on for my closing shift and worked a long and stressful shift until about 10 p.m. I worked at the front of the restaurant and closing duties can be pretty grueling. That night was especially bad because I was the only one up front besides the manager, who has to go back and forth between kitchen and front to help. I finished all my cleaning a little bit later than usual and felt bad for taking so long, but they weren't too upset because a coworker of mine was waiting on a ride, so they had to wait anyways. So with that, I say my goodbyes to the two of them and head out to the back doors to my car. I immediately was irritated that I had to walk so far to get to my car, and I started digging for my keys. I didn't realize that there was a third car in our parking lot until it was almost too late. I finally grabbed my keys after a moment of struggling to find them and realized that the third car is in fact not my manager, and it was parked right next to mine. Although it did look similar, which is why I didn't think much of it at first, being exhausted from work. Upon getting closer, I realized there's a person inside, so I remember thinking, is my co-worker's ride here? But no one came out to go home, so I assumed not. I looked back closer to the restaurant and realized that in front of the building where I couldn't see before as I left out the back, my manager's car was sitting empty right up front. Oh my gosh. All these thoughts were piecing together as I slowly trailed to my car, and after connecting the dots, I tried to see who was in the car waiting for me. I remember squinting at them. I didn't have my glasses on, lol. And that's probably what made me realize I noticed. And with that, they turned on their car immediately. I looked away because the car lights were too bright, and when I tried to look back again, the cabin light was turned on. I stopped dead in my tracks as if paralyzed. Just writing this is starting to make my eyes tear up for some reason. But the expression that this man was wearing invoked so much fear, I think my heart quite literally skipped a beat. The man's features were a bit blurry with the distance and darkness, but I could tell he knew me from somewhere with that little overhead light illuminating his face. The lack of a facial expression is what really made me scared poopless. Because I figured he would smile, frown, wave, anything. Instead, he sat there, arms at his side, as he waited for me to come closer. Y'all, some people be having, like, really scary stories, and I'm so glad I don't have anything like that. Now, as a young woman, I should know better than to ignore my instincts, telling me to get the heck out of there. Out of a situation, but for a split second, I almost felt compelled to continue towards my car. I can't explain why, but distinctively I recall taking one step forwards, pushing before pausing, asking myself, what the heck am I doing? And then hightailing it back to the back door. I felt like I was prey about to be eaten the way I sensed his overwhelming presence behind me. The whole time I debated going back and then running to safety, he just sat in his seat and didn't move an inch. Or so I assume, as I did not look back until I reached the door. I glanced back at his car for a split second before dashing inside, and all I remember seeing was his cabin light had turned off, and I could see only a dark figure. The menacing light no longer illuminated his face. I didn't need to see his face to know he was still staring. I could feel his beady eyes staring right at me. Y'all, that's creepy. I'm about to water break. Scaring the heck out of my coworkers by yanking open the door. As I did, I explained what happened. They both immediately got serious and told me to wait for them while they waited for my other workers' ride. We sat for a few more minutes. They talked about how freaky the situation was and how they'd call the cops if he was still there when we went outside together, and I sat in silence. I was silent because the few minutes after the encounter with the strange man, I knew I recognized him from somewhere. He was the same guy who had told me to wait for him when I was 18. Or when I turned 18. It took me a while because he didn't look like he used to. He looked much more bedraggled, a bit older, and much more scarier. I don't know if he saw me that day as I brought out the trash, or maybe when I walked into work, but he knew I was there somehow, and that scared the poop out of me. I'm not saying bad words, so when I do a different word, it's because they say a bad word. When the ride finally arrived, we all walked out together, and my eyes instantly shot to the area where I knew this car was parked. It was just my car, though, waiting for me to climb inside and get home ASAP. The manager saw my coworkers off into their parents' car and walked me to mine. She helped me check under my car and inside, as apparently she had dealt with a stalker before and knew all of the tricks to stay safe. I thanked her profusely and got in, locking my doors right away. I watched her as she walked to her car and started to leave the lot. I looked frantically to see if I could spot his car anywhere in the shopping area that connected with our parking lot, but found nothing. I live close by my work, so I took the long way home that night, fearing that he was waiting for me to go home to do something sinister. Needless to say, I didn't sleep well that night, as I kept thinking that he was in the darkest corner of my room. With that hollow expression on his face, I considered making the police report, but as the police tend to be useless in scenarios like this, which is sad. And I literally only had a first name, which could have been fake. I decided against it. In the weeks since then, I haven't seen him or heard from him. I still think about him every time I leave the building, half expecting him to be either standing outside ready to snatch me or parked right next to my car. I always leave with my coworkers now, as my parents insisted I began doing after I told them about what happened. Sorry if this seemed oddly written, as it is currently 11:14, and the sudden urge to share my experience overtook me, even though I'm exhausted from work. To this day, I still wonder why he remembered that I was 18, almost 19 now, but he didn't know exactly when my birthday was, because I had almost completely forgotten him. I hope that I never do find out what surprise he had waiting for me. All in all, I most definitely think I've earned the right to say this much. Creepy man whose name was apparently Michael, well, that's not me. Oh my gosh, y'all, that is very creepy and very scary. That's a scary situation. And I don't know if I was in that situation, I would be crapping my pants. She probably crapped her pants when she saw that. I would crap my pants too. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and comment down below what videos you like to see next. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate all of you. So bye.